Hi, and welcome to another episode of Inspiring Business. My name is Mark Bullock, and I'm the co founder of PhoneBlogger.net, VideoSocials.net, and Video Interview Podcast Services, where we facilitate marketing services and systems for professional services firms, including attorneys, financial professionals, coaches, and consultants. Every episode, I interview business thought leaders who make a difference in the world through their services, their products, or their ideas. You can find this show on YouTube, LinkedIn, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, and more. Today, my guest is my dear friend and client, Angela Dunz. And Angela is a business development coach for LinkedIn through her company called Cowgirl Creative Coaching, which I just love that name. Welcome, Angela. It's so great to have you.
It's wonderful to be here, Mark. Thank you for inviting me.
You're certainly welcome. So you've been a member of Video Socials, one of our other services, now for almost 2 years. So we've gotten to know each other, and I've seen you record many videos that you put out there for free. And for me, the difference that you make is just knowledge about how to be an authentic, real person on this social networking platform called LinkedIn. And I'm astonished to see so many of your videos and so much of your content and your newsletters and everything else that you put out there completely for free for people, which is just amazing. That you take some oftentimes very complex algorithms and ideas and concepts that are as far as how LinkedIn works and bring it down to the rest of us being able to understand it and be able to take simple concepts and ideas and translate that into how to behave, how to act, and what to do on that platform. So I know we didn't talk about that in advance, but you're really, as far as I'm concerned, top of that game. And so it's just fantastic. So, I know that you do business development on LinkedIn, obviously, but in your own words, what is it you really do for your clients?
Well, that's a great question. And I think there's a lot of people that are super intimidated about LinkedIn and they don't want to get things wrong. And especially when I'm talking with high-level professionals like attorneys and CPAs, fractional CFOs, they don't want to be wrong. And LinkedIn is just so frustrating and so overwhelming. There's a lot to know. So what I do is I simplify LinkedIn and help them develop a simple strategy so that they can be totally confident and empowered about what they do on LinkedIn and have it fit seamlessly into their own business development plans and just be an extension of that or an accelerator of what they're already doing on LinkedIn. And another one of my friends said, "You're really a permission giver." You're giving people permission on how to show up and to show up on LinkedIn if they haven't ever felt comfortable doing that before.
And one of the things that always amazes me is that so many people look at LinkedIn as a tool, which it is, and don't get what I see that's threaded throughout every piece of content that I've consumed that you've created. And that is that these are human beings. And, it's a collection of human beings and you're a human being. So stop only looking at the tool and look at the conversations and the relationships that are represented through that tool.
It's an excellent point. I see so many people put on some sort of a persona or a facade when they come onto LinkedIn. Oh, I have to be professional here. There's a different level of, I don't know what it is. People have just crazy ideas about LinkedIn. And the key is it's a social platform. Whatever your special something is, that is what attracts your clients. And you just need to be you. There's an overabundance of people that are going to be attracted to you, whatever your quirks and foibles might be. But if you're trying to be something that you aren't, there's no trust. You've completely broken it.
And basically, when we created Video Socials, that was the underpinning for the whole thing. And I'll let you in on a secret that I know that you already know, and that is the first two dozen videos that people do with Video Socials. The point that we're trying to get, the hump that we're trying to get them to get over, is to learn how to be themselves on camera.
Yes.
Because if you
It
can
was hard
be
for me.
if you can be yourself, then you can have a conversation, not with a camera, but with people that are going to be watching and engaging with that content, with that video at a later time, and have them feel like, from my opinion, the holy grail is to have them feel like you're literally having a conversation, like you were sitting across the desk from them.
Yeah.
You can only do that being yourself.
Yes.
And I'm not trying to make this a plug for Video Socials, but I think there's a tremendous overlap, because I know you get this when it comes to LinkedIn or any other social media platform. LinkedIn probably being because it is the core business, social network that everybody wants to be involved with. Is probably the biggest player, the one that we're most concerned with. And because of that, and there's so many attorneys and CPAs and financial professionals, et cetera, that have codes and compliances and things like that they have to follow through. And all of that provides layers of filters between them and their audience, which is basically comes back to being yourself. Have a conversation with people because they are people.
Yes.
Right. And they have their idiosyncrasies, and they have their flaws, and they have their passions, and they have their the difference that they're trying to make in the world, et cetera. And if you can come across to them through video, through text, through messaging, through the posts that you give, if you can come across to them as someone who is genuine and authentic human being, who is trying to help them, who is trying to make a difference, who is trying to share something with them that does help them, and does help them move forward in whatever goals that they have for themselves and for their businesses, you're going to be attractive. You're going to, and another component, and we didn't discuss this at all, is LinkedIn is not just a posting platform. It's not a publishing platform, right? Yes, there's a publishing platform component to it, but what else should they be doing besides just putting content out there?
Well, I actually have 5 strategies that I work on with my clients for visibility, and only one of them is content. Content isn't even the most effective of those. What's really effective is participating in the newsfeed in relevant conversations. Now, you want to make sure that you have some great personal and professional branding on your profile. So once they look, they're finding things that are attracting them rather than repelling them or making them say, is that all the time they spent on their profile? You want to make sure that you've got that taken care of. And the profile it's not about you. It is not about you. It is about what you can do for others. So you want to make it a resource for people. But even if you're posting content, I hear so many people say, my content just doesn't get any results. And I'm like, are you participating in the news feed? Are you liking, commenting, and sharing? Because if you're just throwing content out there, LinkedIn is not recycling it. Now, if you start to participate in the news feed, LinkedIn is based on givers gain. If you're just spamming everybody with content, they're not going to recycle your content. if you're participating in other people's content and making relevant comments and, engaging with influencers and thought leaders and other people, then your content is going to get recycled through the algorithms much more readily. It is a participation platform, and a lot of people think it's a set it and forget it, or, spray and pray and whatever those other um, tactics are, they don't work. It's relationship building, and that's a two-way street.
Absolutely. And my next question for you, which I'm going to give you my answer to before I ask yours, and that is, what is the number one mistake that people make when growing their business on LinkedIn? And from my perspective, is not understanding the core psychological fact that people need to be acknowledged. And if you're acknowledging of others, you're going to have entree into their world. If you're only acknowledging yourself, if you're only throwing out content, spray and pray, as it were, and you're not acknowledging the value of others.
It's yes. Well, and I sort of already spilled the beans, because, the number one mistake that I see is people think that their LinkedIn profile is about them, or they think that the way people make decisions about purchasing goods and services is through features, and that's not it. Especially if you're an attorney, I want to trust whoever it is that I'm going to hand over a lot of my vulnerability and have them solve a serious problem for me. Even if it's an estate plan, that gets very personal. There's a trust factor there. So your LinkedIn profile is not about you. It is about the problem that you can solve for others. It's about naming that audience and more or less just piercing them through the heart with what the problem is that you can help them solve, and what are the results that they can enjoy if they work with you. Is it absolute privacy and compassion and understanding and deep listening? Since the pandemic started, people scroll through the news feed so fast. They scroll through, there's so much noise. It's a cacophony in the news feed. So if you don't really tell me that your post is for me personally and speak to me personally, if it's generic, it's not going to catch my eye. It's just not. But if you're talking to me personally, I'll give you a couple of seconds and see if I can figure out if you're really talking to me. So it's LinkedIn is personal.
Yeah. And I think you just hit the head, because a lot of what we see with video socials is people come in when they first start, they want to introduce themselves, at the beginning of their video, and they'll spend 30 seconds, introducing themselves and their companies. In other words, it's about me, right? And then they'll go on and give some terrific content, some great ideas, some great tips, some great suggestions, etc. But what we have to coach them to understand is, you've only got that first few seconds. I say it's 10. Some people say it's 7. Some people say it's as much as 15 seconds. You've only got a few seconds to do exactly what you just said, which is to identify, do you have this problem? Do you have this concern? Are you challenged by X, etc.? To let people know that they are the target audience.
Yes. I had an excellent speaking coach very early on. And what he told me was, do you know what the number one mistake of most speakers is? And I was like, no, what? And, they get up on stage, their moment of glory, right? And they say, thank you to the sponsors and thank you to this organization. And you already lost your audience. 100%. You need to take all the time in the world, that awkward pause, and really draw your audience in, and then start with something that really catches their attention. This is the same for posting. and for writing your about section and your headline. So, awkward pause, statistic, or ask a super engaging question of some kind, or tell a story. Those are 3 methods that are very, very effective. Now, with posting, you can also do something like a headline or name your audience. You can say, coaches and consultants, are you experiencing this in your business? Or some version of that. But there has to be an intention giver or an intention getter, or anything that follows that is irrelevant.
And the funny thing is in the world of marketing, which 15 years or something like that into it now, it's the subject line of the email, the excerpt that you're talking about, the title of the video, the how you open, et cetera, et cetera. And this is why we that get this in marketing are constantly preaching it, is because exactly what you started with, which is the news feeds, the information that's coming at us. It doesn't matter if it's LinkedIn, if it's our inbox, if it's another social media platform, if it's television, television news, whatever it is. We have a massive quantity of information that's literally being thrown in our face continuously, and so all we're trying to do, if you think about it, all we're trying to do is to cut through that to identify.
Yep.
Are you this type of person that has this type of problem, or is this type of concern or challenge, et cetera? Are you experiencing frustration, anxiety, et cetera, because XYZ is happening? As you said, a good question, an awkward pause, whatever that may be, that gets their attention in that first handful of seconds.
Yes.
And it's not going to be a fit for everybody, because guess what? Your service, I don't care what it is that you sell, what it is that you do, is not a good fit for every single person on the face of the planet, right? There's only a segment, some are larger than others, but there's only a segment of the world's population that is a good fit for what you do. And we can't solve, and the other piece that I wanted to say, people, I think, get a little bit confused with this, because they want to say everything that they do. They want to have every problem that they solve in a newsletter, or every problem, or every segment or service that they have has to be in every piece of content that they create. No, it's literally bite-sized pieces of information that are extremely focused on one thing. I always tell people, they get on to video socials, they get started, and they want to include 5 pounds of stuff in a 2 pound big bucket, and it's the same across social media. Don't try to don't try to make 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 points. Don't try to talk about 8, 9, 10 different ways to solve a problem in a piece of content that needs to be 2 or 3 minutes to consume, whether it be video, whether it be text, etc. Give it to them in smaller pieces. Focus on one tip, one point. There may be 2 or 3 ideas or concepts around that tip or point that you can include in that 2 or 3 minutes to read or watch or listen to. Save the bigger components and use each one of those smaller pieces to draw them into a larger piece of content, such as a podcast like this, where we have a chance to go a little more in depth. People aren't going to watch this unless they're in my audience or they're in your audience.
Right.
So because it's not designed to attract the attention of people that don't know us, right? It's designed to provide a deeper understanding and larger concepts for those that already know of the value that we're providing. This is a different form of marketing than the small video segments, the small text posts, et cetera, et cetera. Those are literally designed to get the attention of the right people to pull them in. And I don't know why I've gone off on this long tangent when this I'm here to, but there's so much synergy between what we do. And I just know we are so like-minded in helping people understand these concepts.
Well, hidden in what you just said, Mark, is also, LinkedIn is really best used if you are trying to attract entry-level clients. Now, those people that you have already worked with, so you don't need that entire laundry list of absolutely every single thing that you do. How do people usually start working with you? That's what you want to talk about, not the entire suite of every single possible thing that you can do.
Right.
For example, I've done reputation repair for a couple of my clients.
Hmm.
Now, is that something that I even list? I don't, because it's not a common thing that I do. It's in my skills section, but it's not an entry level piece at all. Most people come to me because they're at a transition point in their career or in their business, and the pandemic has changed pretty much everything.
Yep.
I mean, even goods and services have changed dramatically. The way we serve our clients has changed dramatically. And they're like, oh my gosh, I'm so woefully out of date that I need some help. And it's almost easier to do it right the first time than to restructure something that's already there.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So in a minute, I'm going to take a minute to talk about, what is video socials, phone blogger, etc. But I wanted to make sure that people and your contact information and how to get in touch with you is going to be associated with this podcast on whatever platform it is that you've got. But how can people stay in touch with and continue to learn from you, whether or not they're ready to hire you as a coach or a consultant? Because I know you've got a lot of wonderful content out there that's incredibly valuable. Where can they find that? How can they continue to learn from you?
Well, I think the easiest way for people to stay in touch with me is to go to my website, which is angeladunz.com. And as soon as you get there, there's going to be an obnoxious pop-up screen that will cue you to sign up for my newsletter. My newsletter, I have one of my coaches, she's like, every single one of your newsletters could be a whole course in itself. If you did
I agree with your coach, because I get your newsletter. Yep.
One of my earlier mentors said, you give away the gold because otherwise people think that you have junk. And that has really stuck with me. So that's the easiest way. So angeladunz.com, obnoxious pop-up, sign up for my newsletter.
Terrific. And so I'm going to have one more question for you at the end. And but in the meantime, why am I doing this? What is going on here? So Inspiring Business is a podcast that I created because in the process of the last almost 15 years that my business partner and I, Vikram Rajan, since we created Practice Marketing Inc., we've developed a number of services for people to be able to create the content that they need to get out there, and then what to do with it, right? So the first was Phone Blogger, and Phone Blogger was because we were advising clients, look, social media, this is 12 years ago. Social media is taking off. You need to get out there. You need to put out valuable content, and you need to do it on a consistent basis. And people just got so writer's block and perfectionism and et cetera, and spending hours and hours to write something that would take 3 minutes to read. And so we developed a process by which we call them an interviewing editor, calls and interviews you literally 5-10 minutes on the phone. We record that, transcribe it, and edit that into a professionally produced article that goes out to all the different social media feeds, newsletters, et cetera, and we handle all of that technology and all that for you. So it's a done for you kind of service, but you're still the author. You're the person that is creating the content. It's your ideas, your words, et cetera. The extension of that, or the next phase of that, was video socials. And by the way, that's phoneblogger.net is the website for that. Video Socials was taking it to the next level in that we were having people realizing that video is just taken off in the social media space. The algorithms are all pushing videos far more than they are text, etc. People are visual. Most people are visual in nature and want to learn through that visual, and video is basically the holy grail. And so why not get, instead of just writing content, instead of just recording an audio piece, why not go ahead and create videos? And so Video Socials was born. We'd love to have you as a guest if you're a professional and you're trying to get your voice out there. Maybe you have camera experience, maybe you don't. It doesn't matter. The environment is there to support you in getting good at that. And that's videosocials.net. And then just click on the green button to come as a guest. And you're welcome to also look around. There's literally 500 plus videos that are on there under the Academy section, which is all of our knowledge and experience from working with hundreds of people on thousands of videos, and what works best, and how to get your name out there, and how to get your branding, and how to use video for social media. Then there is VIP Services, which is our video interview podcast, which I am a client of and using right now. So what we realize is that once you've gotten good on camera, once you've gotten confident on camera, once you can create content, once you've got some serious knowledge that you can share with others, why not do a podcast? Why not do a video interview podcast? Well, the answer to why not is it's a lot of stinking work. It's a lot of coordination between guests and emails and figuring out scripts and how to introduce things and digging through the technology to get it all to work, and then coming up with a publishing schedule and a recording schedule, et cetera, et cetera. There's literally hundreds of individual tasks that go into creating something like this and getting it out there and getting it promoted and getting it cross-promoted. And so we've developed a service called VIP Services, and that's at videosocials.net/VIP services. And again, there'll be links for all this that are associated, so you can just click on them. But the thing to keep in mind about that is videosocials.net is for Video Socials, and Video Socials VIP Services is for those who are taking it to the next level, to create this longer form content, to engage in a deeper conversation. And so we hope you'll take a look at one of those websites and potentially come as a guest at Video Socials and contact us having to do with how we might be able to help you if you are trying to do some sort of a podcast or live stream, that type of thing. So my last question for you, Angela, is where do people need to go? Where do they really need to understand, how do I use LinkedIn without using people? Right. And what I mean by that is that most of us that are trying to make a difference in the world, most of us that are trying to do something positive for others, that are trying to be helpful, that are trying to make the world a little bit better place, we have a natural resistance to being self-promotional. We have a natural resistance to wanting to sorry, I had a slight interruption.
Our own horn.
But so life happens operating out of a home office, and the dog got in the door. So, but how do we get over that resistance to, I don't want to sell my services all the time, I just want to help people? And how do they do that on LinkedIn?
That's a great question. And so I struggle with this all the time, because a lot of my clients are very much like myself. Self-promotion is something that it's kind of been beaten into us that we shouldn't be doing it. Don't toot your own horn and that sort of thing. And it's awkward. How do you do it tastefully? And so what I tell my clients is, don't think of it as self-promotion. Think of it as problem solving. There are people out there that need the solution that you have, and some of them don't know it. Some of them are desperate for the solution that you have. And so really think of it as being educational and inspiring, and it's promoting problem solving and a service. It's not necessarily, yes, of course, you are going to deliver it.
Mhm.
You are going to be the one that is the in between for the problem and the solution. But what you're really promoting is the solution. And if you focus on that, it doesn't feel as much like self promotion. It's not as awkward. You're providing value, and that's what you need to focus on.
Well, and I couldn't agree with you more. First of all, and one of the things that I guess I could be accused of preaching on the subject, and it's like, don't be self-promotional, be helpful,
Yes.
provide value, give away, as you say, give away the knowledge, give away. And I know both of us have this. We both have a significant pool of content that we make available for free. Why do we
Yes.
do that? Because as I've said for our services, I'm happy to tell you what to do. I'm even happy to tell you how to do it. And we've done so. If you go to either phoneblogger.net or videosocials.net, there's literally hundreds of posts, articles, videos on each one that is all the what to do and how to do it. If you'd like help with it, that's what we get paid for. So if you want to do it on your own, if you're capable of doing it on your own, the information is there, the knowledge is there. And so every piece of content, and I know that this is the case with you, and it's certainly been the case for us, every piece of content that we create is designed to be of value to you that you can take and on your own you can use, you can take advantage of, and it can improve whatever your situation, whatever you're trying to do is. And then if it's you're really busy, you're really successful, you really can't figure it out, you're really not interested in the tech, and learning the tech, etc. That's where we can come into play. So
Yes.
and I know that that's the case for you. So Angela, absolutely delightful. We could literally go on for the rest of the day.
Yes.
Preaching to the choir, as it were, because I know that both of us are in such alignment, and just be authentic, folks.
Yeah.
Just add value. Just create content that is useful and valuable and informational and educational for those that are your target audience.
Yes.
You don't need to be helpful to those that aren't your target audience. You can if you want to, but if you can identify who you'd like to have as a client, who you'd like to have as a customer, you can identify that in your own mind, and then you've worked with them, so you know what problems they have, what challenges that they're incurring, what they're dealing with, and if you have something that can, some knowledge that you can share with them that's available to that can avail them and help them, put it on video, write it out in a text post, put it on LinkedIn, put it on Facebook, put it on whatever platforms where they're paying attention, right?
Mhm.
And then that puts the whole concept of self-promotion off to the side. You definitely want to have a call to action at the end, where it is. You want to let people know how to contact you. You want to provide them additional information, as Angela did with her brilliantly put together call to action, which was subscribe to her newsletter, right? So just being completely transparent. That's her marketing tool that allows her to find out about you, that you're there, and potentially get you that information, get you that knowledge, get you that free information in your inbox. So you don't even have to go look for it, right? So was that being self-promotional? Maybe a little bit, I don't know, but I can guarantee you won't feel like you're being promoted to if you get her newsletter, because I'm a subscriber and I learn from it every single episode or every single time that it comes into my inbox. So thank you, Angela.
Oh, you're so welcome, Mark. My pleasure.
It's been delighted to have you. All of our combined contact information, how to connect with us on LinkedIn, our websites, et cetera, will all be linked in coordination with this piece of content called a podcast, our video interview podcast. So again, come join us next time. I invite you to subscribe wherever you have found this, if you find it valuable, because these are the types of people that I interview. This is the type of content that we put together. If you found it valuable, we encourage you to subscribe on whatever platform that you are consuming this from. So again, inspiring business. I'm Mark Bullock, the co-founder of videosocials.net, a phoneblogger.net, and our Video Socials VIP services. Have a great day.